When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger for thousands of appetizing ingredients that inspire countless mouth-watering meals. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices. Plus, extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with points. So you can get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. You know when you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself? Talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
Welcome to the Covert Narcissism podcast. I'm your host, Renee Swanson. I am not a therapist, and you are not a victim. Welcome to the Covert Narcissism podcast. I'm your host, Renee Swanson, and thank you for joining me today and for continuing this journey of unmasking narcissism. This is a part 2 of a 2-part series that's dedicated to clearing up the confusion about the different types of narcissism and, in particular, covert narcissism. So if you missed last week's episode, go back and get it so you have part 1, and today continues part 2. I also want to remind you that I'm doing something a little different this time. I am offering my notes through a slideshow, actually, and I've set it up on my YouTube channel. So go to the YouTube channel for the Covert Narcissism podcast, and there you can see the visuals so that you can have the notes that go along with this episode, if that is, of benefit to you. And let's just get started. So the different types of narcissism that are dominantly talked about, amongst the field of experts is, you got grandiose, vulnerable, malignant, communal, somatic, and cerebral. But when you look at this list, you don't see the words covert narcissist. And there's a reason for this. Because covert actually describes the behavioral traits of the different types of narcissism. So a grandiose narcissist can be covert about their narcissism. A somatic narcissist can be covert about their narcissism. So covert narcissism is the behavioral traits of the different type of narcissist that this person is. So I hope that helps you to kind of understand, why covert narcissism can look so different. Some people, they're really dealing with these characteristics or those characteristics, and maybe they don't apply to me, but all these others do. Well, this is why this field is so confusing. Let me add to that vulnerable narcissism and covert narcissism, those two words are used interchangeably a lot out in the world. And so when somebody is talking about covert narcissism, what they're actually referring to is a vulnerable narcissist. This adds to the confusion, but I hope that your awareness of all of this will help you to make that distinction so that you are not, wallowing in this confusion along with everyone else. All right. Well, let's get started. We're picking up where we left off, and we are talking about malignant narcissist. Now, a malignant narcissist is very motivated by their desire to control and their desire to dominate. They definitely, use a lot of exploitation. That's an identifying sign of them, is the exploitation. Another identifying sign is the complete, and I do mean complete lack of empathy, a complete lack of remorse. Some narcissists, like a vulnerable narcissist, you're going to see more signs of empathy. It's going to be a learned empathy, or they might even have some little elements of empathy. But a malignant narcissist has zero. This is a complete lack of empathy. So the overt behaviors of a malignant narcissist. This is blatant intimidation and threats, saying things like, if you don't do what I say, you will regret it. I can make your life a living hell. They're in your face, they're pointing their finger, they're cussing at you. They might be throwing things and breaking things. This is definitely very outward expression of intimidation. They will publicly humiliate you or humiliate their, coworker or friend in front of others. They don't care about their image in front of others, and in fact seem to derive satisfaction from doing this publicly. Saying something like, well, why don't you try doing something right for once? But it's not behind closed doors. This is on public display. They will exploit with absolutely no remorse. This is where when a boss will force someone to work overtime and then take credit for it. I run this place like a machine. They're overtly using other people as their method of elevating themselves. They will exert aggressive displays of power. They will get in your face and say things like, I know people who could make sure you never work in this town again. Their threats are very open. You don't walk away wondering if they're threatening you. You walk away knowing that they are threatening you. They might say things like, you'll never see a dime from me, or you'll never see your kids again. Again, controlling you by fear and intimidation. The last overt behavior I'm going to mention is their outright denial of harmful acts to the point of daring you to counter them. So after being caught in a lie or caught in a harmful act, they might respond with, oh yeah, prove it. You're just trying to make me look bad. Almost daring you to counter them or to go after them. All right, let's go to the covert behaviors of a malignant narcissist. These are more subtle. They're going to happen in a private setting, a private environment. You're still going to see this complete lack of remorse and lack of empathy, but everything's going to be a little bit more under the radar. This is something like, undermining you by spreading these damaging rumors. They might say, hey, I've heard they're really unreliable. You might want to keep an eye on them, even though they never actually heard anything. Like, there is no justification for what they're saying. They're just spreading these damaging rumors. This is where your smear campaign comes in. They will work really hard to undercut anyone's confidence in this person, whoever their target is, just to sabotage them, but they won't make it obvious. It's not near as in your face and bold. They will feign concern in order to manipulate. This is saying something like, hey, are you okay? You really seem off today. Even though nothing's wrong, there is nothing off. And then anything you say, they actually turn it and use it against you. So they will pretend to be worried about your well-being, but they're actually doing it to gain personal information and to use it against you. So they kind of fake this false empathy, and it's yet one of their tools for manipulating. They will weaponize your vulnerabilities, tell you things like, hey, remember what you told me about your financial issues? You really can't afford to lose this job. This is, exploiting you by pretending to be supportive, but then using whatever you share with them, again, the shared secrets, they will turn that against you to, undercut your confidence in yourself. It will push you to doubt yourself, but you walk away not thinking it's abuse. Covert behaviors are when you walk away not thinking that it's abuse. You walk away thinking maybe it was strange, maybe the conversation was a little off, but you can't quite put your finger on the abusive behavior. The last one is their form of gaslighting, which it's really to control the narrative and control the perception, which a lot of narcissists do. With the malignant narcissist, the way this plays out is that they subtly distort your reality, but then they spread this doubt to other people. Again, this goes along with the smear campaign. Smear campaigns, malignant narcissists go hand in hand. They will say things like, hey, you're imagining things. I never said that. You might want to get your memory checked. And then they might say to other people, hey, I'm really concerned about, her or him. I'm really concerned that they're just not remembering things right. They'll lay the foundation for other people to then doubt you. Another way this gaslighting plays out is when they really sabotage your confidence in yourself by saying, hey, you're overreacting. You're being really sensitive. I'm a little worried about you. Again, setting the stage for them to declare that something is wrong with you. So, malignant narcissists, the overt behavior is aggressive, domineering, unapologetically harmful. But the covert behaviors, they're more insidious. They're these subtle manipulations that they harm other people, but they are able to maintain this facade of care and concern. All right, let's take a look at communal narcissist. A communal narcissist is a narcissist that has this focus on being altruistic. They want to be seen as being a good person. So they highlight their contributions. They do this kind of moral grandstanding, expecting recognition for their generosity. The overt behaviors, they're going to boast about their good deeds. I organized that charity event all by myself. It would not have been a success without me. No one's ever done this good of a job. They're going to seek public praise for their altruism, posting about it on social media, posting about, donations they've made or organizations that they've helped. They're going to compare themselves to others in order to feel superior. They might say something like, I don't understand how people can be so selfish. I spend all my time helping others. But they point out or emphasize their altruistic behaviors, the things that they are doing for others, because it's not about doing the things for the other people. It's about getting the recognition for it. They will take credit for group efforts. They'll dominate the collaborative work to make sure that they're seen as the hero, saying something like, that project wouldn't have happened if I had not stepped in to organize everything. And again, they just keep pointing out why they're so good or look at me, I'm so great and wonderful. And they will use their charity to gain power and influence. Them being generous is not to be generous. Them being generous is to gain attention and validation and control. For example, they might say, since I donated the most money, I think I should have the final say.
This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace. When you're really stressed or not feeling so great about your life or about yourself, talking to someone who understands can really help. But who is that person? How do you find them? Where do you even start? Talkspace. Talkspace makes it easy to get the support you need. With Talkspace, you can go online, answer a few questions about your preferences, and be matched with a therapist. And because you'll meet your therapist online, you don't have to take time off work or arrange childcare. You'll meet on your schedule, wherever you feel most at ease. If you're depressed, stressed, struggling with a relationship, or if you want some counseling for you and your partner, or just need a little extra one-on-one support, Talkspace is here for you. Plus, Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance? No problem. Now get $80 off of your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
Taxes was feeling so stuck. Sitting in traffic, squeezing into a parking spot, all to squeeze in getting tax help during your lunch break. Now Taxes is a TurboTax expert who does your taxes for you, while you go about your day getting real-time notifications about their progress and the most money back guaranteed. Now this is Taxes. Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service, real-time updates only in iOS mobile apps. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees.
And how the funds are used. And again, this is not being generous to be generous. This is being generous to be in control. Covert behaviors of a communal narcissist, they are more subtle. Just, again, the covert traits are the ones you walk away, you can't quite put your finger on it. This is subtly expecting gratitude or recognition. I went out of my way to help you, but I guess some people just don't appreciate kindness these days. This is the subtle, indirect, guilting you for not giving them enough praise. And they will downplay their true motives. They'll, oh, it was nothing. Like if you're trying to give them a compliment, oh, it was nothing. Really, I just enjoy helping. While secretly, they're hoping for the admiration, and you know this by their other traits and characteristics. They appear to be humble and they'll express their humility, but they're using that as a strategy to elicit praise and admiration. They will weaponize their generosity, saying, hey, after everything I've done for you, I just can't believe you're treating me this way. And this is to remind you of their good deeds and then to use that to manipulate you. It doesn't matter that you're trying to ask them about this one thing in front of you. They will point out all these wonderful things that they've done for you. But, I can't believe that you're mad at me for this. And so they weaponize their generosity. They will undermine others while feigning morality. I just want to help them do better. But honestly, if they don't care, they just must not care about people as much as I do if they don't want my help. This is subtly criticizing under the guise of being helpful. If they don't want my help, it must be because they don't care like I do. I just wanted to help. They, in the name of helping, they will overstep boundaries, taking over someone's personal responsibilities, but saying, hey, I only did it because I care so much about you. But they say this while ignoring your needs, your wishes, your opinion about things. They impose their assistance to appear, kind and generous, but it's really to gain control over you. So with the communal narcissist, the overt behaviors is the obvious self-promotion, but the covert behaviors are the subtle manipulation, guilt tripping, and humility that's actually there to elicit admiration and validation. So they kind of hide behind this selfless facade, but it's a facade to cover, their true narcissistic behaviors. The somatic narcissist. The somatic narcissist is the narcissist who demonstrates a large amount of physical prowess, sexual prowess. They're very preoccupied with their body image, and they have this constant need for compliments about their appearance. They're very focused on their physical attractiveness. The overt behaviors, they're going to be constantly flaunting their appearance, posting all these selfies on social media, and the selfies that just, look at me is what they scream. Bragging about their sexual conquests. They might be telling friends, people just can't resist me. I can get anyone I want. This is the overt, behaviors of the somatic narcissist. They're going to criticize the appearances of others. She would look so much better if she just took care of herself like I do. Again, very overt behavior. They're going to obsess over fashions and trends. I only wear designer brands because I know how to present myself. I know how to look better. And I know it looks, they're diminishing other people by elevating their own sense of superiority. They're going to seek validation through public performance. They might make a spectacle of themselves at the gym, like really showing off, or on the dance floor for the purpose of attracting attention. And then afterwards even comment, did you see how everyone was watching me? This again being the very overt behaviors. These are in-your-face narcissistic. But they can also have covert behaviors. The somatic narcissist is going to fish for compliments. They might say something, they might be in the best shape ever, but they say something like, I feel so out of shape lately. Just clearly waiting for you to reassure them that, what, are you crazy? You look great. They might passive-aggressively highlight their attractiveness. They might say something like, I don't know why people always stare at me when I walk into a room. It's so awkward. They're pointing out that everyone's looking at them, but they're not going to be so overt about it to say, I know everyone's looking at me. Instead, they're going to just say, it's really awkward that everyone's looking at me. So they're still highlighting the same thing. It's just more passive-aggressive. They're going to use their health or fitness to gain sympathy and attention, drawing attention, to their efforts, but not being overtly boastful. So they might say something like, I've been working so hard on my diet and fitness, but no one seems to notice. Really what they're doing is fishing for you to notice, fishing for you to give them the validation and attention. They will belittle others, but do it very subtly. They might say something like, "Oh, you look great," which, again, starts outright. But then they follow it with, "I'd never be brave enough to wear something like that." Will you walk away wondering, was that a compliment? I'm not really sure. They frame their remarks as compliments, but they imply superiority. The last covert behavior is their sexual manipulation. They will quietly leverage their sexual desirability to gain favors and maintain control, such as flirting to get what they want or flirting to make other people jealous, but they use their sexuality as a very subtle tool for power and validation. So the key takeaway here is that the overt behaviors of a somatic narcissist are bold, they're direct, they're focused on flaunting about their appearance, their health, or their sexuality, while the covert behaviors, guess what? They're more subtle, they're more insidious, they're passive-aggressive, but their goals are the same. But with a covert narcissist, they want to not appear to be self-centered, so they hide the narcissistic traits that are under the surface. All right, the last one we're going to talk about is the cerebral narcissist. The cerebral narcissist is the one focused on intelligence. They see their superiority based on being intellectually superior to other people. And so they are overly analytical, they're very condescending, and they are prone to these intellectual debates in order to showcase their intelligence. So again, they have overt behaviors and covert behaviors. Overt, they will boast about their intelligence. I have a higher IQ than most people, I know, so I usually end up being the smartest person in the room. They will openly highlight their intellectual superiority. Talking down to other people, they will demean others as their way of, asserting their intellectual dominance. They'll say something like, I can explain it to you in simpler terms, since this is probably over your head. Again, very overt about their narcissism. They will dominate conversations with theories and facts, in essence, showing off their knowledge. They'll hijack even a casual discussion to jump into this in-depth, big words description. It's an unasked for lecture, saying like, actually, if you look at the data, what you're saying doesn't make sense. And then they dive in to show their superiority. They will discredit other people's opinions. Your argument is so flawed, I don't even know where to begin to correct you. This is to invalidate you and invalidate how, other people see you. And they will claim to be the authority on many topics. I've read every book on the subject, so I know more about this than anyone here. Presenting themselves as the ultimate expert, regardless of the topic, it doesn't matter what topic, they are the expert at everything. Now, the covert traits of a cerebral narcissist, these, again, more subtle, under the radar, under the surface, they will subtly undermine other people's ideas. Things like, that's an interesting perspective, but have you ever considered how oversimplified it is? So they frame their criticism as intellectual guidance because they are, superior to you, but you feel very dismissed. You don't really quite know why. Again, covert behaviors, you don't walk away thinking it's abuse. You don't walk away identifying it because it's so subtle. They will feign humility to elicit praise. They might say something like, I don't know why people keep asking for my advice. I'm not that brilliant. Really what they're looking for is your responses that says, are you kidding? You're a genius. And they're wanting you to pump them up. Gaslighting through intellectual manipulation looks like, if you really understood this topic, you wouldn't be confused right now. But this is implying that you are less intelligent. This implies that, you shouldn't be questioning them. And they actually will use complex languages just to make you feel inferior. Withholding information to maintain power. They might say something like, oh, I thought everyone knew that. I guess it's up to me to fix it. This is, again, to maintain their control by ensuring that other people are depending on them for their expertise. The last one is passive aggressively highlighting their achievements. Something like, hey, it's funny how people with advanced degrees like mine are often misunderstood. They're pointing out their superiority, but it's so passive and so subtle that you don't, again, necessarily see it as boastful. It's just that little remark about their advanced degree. And so it's a hidden boastfulness, if you will. So the key takeaways here, the cerebral narcissist being very direct, focusing their flaunting on their intellect and belittling others, but the covert being the more subtle, passive-aggressive remarks, again, establishing their superiority, but appearing unassuming. So really what I want you to understand in these 2 episodes, and I know they were very educational based, but I want you to understand that the overt traits of any of the narcissism, you walk away knowing that was abusive, that was intimidating, that was threatening, that was a problem. But the covert behaviors of any of these types of narcissists, you don't walk away thinking that. You walk away wondering, well, that was strange. I wonder what brought that on. Or maybe I saw that wrong. Or maybe I'm overreacting. The covert behaviors cause you to gaslight yourself and doubt yourself in this whole process. As always, this information is for educational purposes only. I am not in the business of diagnosing anyone, and this information should not be used to diagnose. That does require trained professionals in the field. However, understanding the different types and different manifestations of narcissism can aid in developing effective coping strategies, workarounds, and even interventions. I do offer both individual and small group coaching for help in devising these coping strategies and workarounds that will apply to your specific situation. So if all of this or any of this resonates with you, please reach out to me. Come find me if you are looking for help that is beyond, what's out there on the internet. I'm here. My email address is renee@covertnarcissism.com. I definitely look forward to hearing from each and every one of you. I wish you so much peace on your journey of healing. You have been listening to the Covert Narcissism podcast. If you are struggling with covert narcissism in your life, I help people to heal from covert narcissistic abuse. If you are struggling with the isolation, the self-doubt, and the obsessive thinking, then this is the program for you. I offer both group and individual options. This is live, personalized coaching that is specific to covert narcissism. Reach out to me anytime. You can find me at my website, covertnarcissism.com. I'm not a therapist and you are not a victim. I am a coach and you are a survivor. I wish you so much peace on your journey of healing. The information provided by Renee Swanson and the Covert Narcissism podcast is for educational purposes only and is not to be used for diagnosis purposes and not intended to be a substitute for clinical care. Please consult a healthcare provider for guidance specific to your case. This material discusses narcissism in general. It does not claim that any specific person has narcissism and should not be used to refer to any specific person as having narcissism. Permission is not granted to link to or repost this material to support an allegation or a claim that any specific person is a narcissist. That would be an unauthorized misuse of the material and information provided.